This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
Welcome to today's Talk Business and Politics Daily. It's Monday, September 19th. Here are your top stories of the day. Dr. Dan Ron, who has led UAMS for nearly 8 years, will retire at the end of July of next year, he announced today. University of Arkansas System President Dr. Donald Bobbitt will form a search committee to hire the next chancellor. Ron has led a savings initiative of more than $100 million, grown the Northwest Arkansas UAMS campus, and championed a dental center at the university. Intimidator Inc. is set to invest $12 million and build a second facility in Batesville, adding 400 full-time workers to its payroll during the next 4 years. The company now employs about 80 workers at its facility in the city's industrial park. Intimidator makes zero-turn lawnmowers and 4x4 utility vehicles. Workers will be paid on average about $18 per hour. Real estate agents in Benton and Washington counties busy in August with unit sales up almost 17% and sales volume up almost 29%. January through August home sales in the two counties totaled 6,513. That is up 16.8% compared to the same period in 2015. Finally, the University of Arkansas launched a multi-year fundraising campaign aiming to raise $1 billion by June 30th, 2020. Money raised with Campaign Arkansas will support the university's academic mission and other key priorities. And those are your top stories of the day. Keep up with our headlines and in-depth articles online at talkbusiness.net throughout the day. After the break, our standing Monday appointment with John Brummett. We'll take a deep dive into our manufacturing microsite. And what headline did Skip Rutherford and John Burris bring to the table in our latest Talk Politics segment? Find out after this.
First Security is here. Only here. So that means we're here, here, and here. Even here. And definitely here. Because here is where we want to be for you. First Security Bank, only in Arkansas.
Arkansas's most abundant natural resource provides the core asset for Deltic Timber Corporation. In addition to the sustainable yield stewardship of its well-stocked timberlands, Deltic adds value by integrating its efficient wood products manufacturing facilities as well as through planned development of commercial and residential real estate. Deltic Timber Corporation, creating value for a growing Arkansas.
It's Mondays. We sit down with John Brummett on Mondays with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Always great to have him with us. Spent the whole day with you today. It's been a fun day. Thank you for the car ride up to Heber Springs to speak to a group
Chamber of Commerce. We illuminated issues for the Chamber of Commerce, didn't you think?
I thought so.
I don't know how they felt about it, but we thought that we did.
Well, from the Twitter reaction, it looks like I probably had more to bring to the table than you brought to the table.
That's not the way I read the Twitter.
Isn't that?
No.
All right, so let's pick up from last week. Have we resolved the great co-ed controversy from last week?
No. Yes, we have. Yes, we have. Co-ed. Yes, I used the word co-ed on here in reference to the Miss America, in reference to her being a student at the University of Arkansas Fayetteville. And certain persons much younger than I were unfamiliar with that term. And it caused me to give a lot of thought to how old I am and to the appropriateness of the word. And I even worked it into a Sunday column with my friend Bubba McCoy in East Arkansas used the word co-ed, and I was able to correct him.
That's right.
I said the phrase is female college matriculant, to which Bubba said, I think co-ed sounds a lot better than that. But we've got it worked out. It's an antiquated phrase. Archaic.
It was a lot of fun. It stirred up some Facebook
Well, I wanted to ask some people.
It also
I wanted to ask some
column. So.
Yeah, I wanted to work some. I wanted to get some
use
social media to see about the word. I'm always trying to stay to not be as old as I am, and not use words that give away.
If something comes up today that
no
works
doubt
its
it
way
will.
into it, so.
Perhaps has already.
Let's talk about your Sunday column as you referenced your East Arkansas barometer of politics. Bubba McCoy weighs in on the presidential race, and I think if I'm summarizing, he is going to vote for the sicker of the two presidential candidates in order to get to the vice presidential candidate.
The way he sized it up, he wants to see the medical records, because the one who is least likely to remain in office is the one he wants, because he wants to get to the running mates, which he finds superior in both cases. And actually, while that's sort of a flippant, some would say offensive notion, I think it represents a pretty substantial view that these candidates do not satisfy the voters by any stretch of the imagination. And in both cases, perhaps because they've been less defined by the opposition, the running mates are preferable personalities, I think, at this point.
How does Bubba get so cynical? Where does this cynicism, where's it bred
I
from?
don't know that Bubba's cynical. Bubba's just, I call it, you know the word urbane for people who have sort of a sophisticated, urban-based intelligence. I say that Bubba's rural. He's got a rural-based sophistication. He's got a lot of common sense. And I don't know that it's so much cynical. I think he represents sort of common sense thinking, sort of unsophisticated common sense thinking. And that's the value I think he brings to the dialogue.
Yeah, he's not there every week. He's a once in a blue moon. Do you have some sort of regiment that you...
No. People, oddly, ask for him. They say,
and that's when you know it's time for
it's time for me to take a trip over to East Arkansas to Bubba's Auto Emporium and sit down with him in the trailer office and see what's going on.
So you and I fielded a question with the chamber audience today about just kind of when does this race cement? We know that there are a lot of already staked out positions with both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. You and I both feel that the first debate is kind of the final pivot point. Do you expound on that a little bit?
Well, I think we both said essentially the same thing. The way I put it is that Hillary is such a weak candidate that the race is not so much about her, it's about Trump. And it's about whether the people are willing, are so frustrated with politics as usual that they're willing to take a risk with a complete, strange, different being, that is Trump, or they look at Trump and say, no, not that big a risk. This guy's too scary. And I think that's the race. And I think to the extent that there are people who remain undecided, which is hard for some of us to imagine considering the choice.
It's low.
It's low, but it's decisive. And I think Trump's job in the debate is to normalize himself. It's to get through it without a Trumpism, without some exposing, without reinforcing this notion that this guy's weird, this guy's out there, we can't really trust him as president. And Hillary's job, and she now has one because this is now a full-fledged race, her job is to point up that, you know, you may not like me, implied,
right,
but listen to some of what he's saying. And as you said, with early voting and with the way people make up their minds, the first one is defining, the first debate. The other two will probably be epilogues in which the candidates will be trying to undo any damage they did from the first or play it differently. But that first one, this is as big a debate as we've had.
It's the Super Bowl.
It is. And what, 100 million viewers?
That's the estimate is somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So this is kind of the crux of your Tuesday column. I don't want to get too far out there, but kind of give us the preview. The preview of what I've got tomorrow is that just a strange dynamic. And this is not original thought with me, but I accepted it and have expounded on it. Trump is somewhat insulated from criticism for his mistakes, gaffes, outrageous statements, because he has had so many of them. So that the media in the 24-hour news cycle doesn't focus on things because by tomorrow he will have said or done something else or had something else revealed about him. I mean, there are things about the Trump Foundation which are at least equal to what's been said about the Clinton Foundation, but they don't, the media doesn't have the time to focus on them, much less obsess on them, because he benefits from the proliferation of his negatives. Yeah. Whereas Hillary basically is a conventional candidate who people look at her and say, well, she's got the experience, she's qualified, she's competent, but her vulnerabilities are like 3, and they've been there and they're embedded, and people in the media continues to obsess on them and keep the stories alive. The foundation,
the emails, and now questions over health. So it's the new model in the 24-hour news cycle that Trump is presenting is, I'm going to give you so many blunders, or what you consider to be blunders, that you can't focus on any of them. And he's escaped anything remotely akin to the attention she's gotten, because he's just piled on those incidents.
And we were talking a little bit about the analogy of all that, like in 2012, Mitt Romney with the 47% gaffe, and then you go back to maybe like a Michael Dukakis riding around in the tank, and that was kind of
there were individual moments or individual
and Trump has too many of them.
I forget what. McCain was when he canceled his campaign to go fix the economy, which he didn't do. Romney was the 47%, as you say. Dukakis in the tank. And Clinton Bush won the 1992 race. Largely was a time George H.W. Bush looked at his watch, and there are single moments. But there's not a single moment with Trump. There's just an abundance of moments, and the voters become numb to it, and the media can't keep up. Which,
not sure that's a great model for the future, though. Maybe he's a one-time exception to that political.
I can't imagine anything else being like it. But in this dynamic, it is unlike anything we have seen. If any two or three of these things, if that amounted to the sum total of his negatives, and they were developed, and the media focused on them as they have Hillary's, it would be an entirely different race. But he's a different animal, and he's in this race. I was on this thing. I was on here with you talking about how Democrats were talking dangerously of a landslide about 3 weeks ago.
They're not talking about that now.
They're talking about trying to win.
All right. Last question for you. Jimmy Fallon has had both political candidates on, presidential candidates. He asked to mess with Donald Trump's hair. He wore a surgical mask for Hillary Clinton coming out. Which one of those two interviews would you have preferred to do? You want to mess up Trump's hair, or would you want to come out and interview Hillary with a surgical mask on?
Well, those are my choices.
This is your serious question.
These are my choices.
If you want to do something with Gary Johnson, y'all could go out back and.
You mean, do I want to put on a surgical mask and interview Hillary for the effect, or do I want to interview Donald Trump and mess up his hair? I guess I'd rather mess up Donald Trump's hair. I guess, given that choice.
Weak choices.
Well.
That's how the voters feel.
Well, which is exactly what Bubba's saying. Bubba's saying, let's get to the running mates here.
All right,
man.
John Brummett with the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Always good to be with you. Enjoyed the day.
Great.
So, all right. When we come back, we are going to run down some of the latest stories on our manufacturing microsite. And then yesterday, I sat down with Skip Rutherford and John Burris. We didn't get to everything on air. We're going to play our web extra at the end of the show. We're back after this.
Each day, the promise of our nation begins again. Arkansas and America, moving forward. I help make that promise a reality. It's not for everyone, but people everywhere depend on us.
Oh, I love you too, sweetie.
Trucking delivers, or everything stops. And that's what drives me.
As Arkansas's population grows, so do our energy demands. But with the right mix of resources, reliable, affordable power will always be a reality. These resources are all around us in our rivers, blowing through our trees, even right below our feet. The answer isn't focusing on one resource, it's embracing them all. The electric cooperatives of Arkansas know that a balanced approach to power builds our communities and powers our dreams. Visit themixmatters.com and see why there's power in knowledge.
On our home website at talkbusiness.net, you can find a variety of daily stories in our latest news feed. We also take deep dives into key industry news topics on our microsites, which you can find on that homepage at talkbusiness.net. Today, we highlight our manufacturing microsite, which includes stories on the manufacturing sector, the labor force, the overall economy, and much, much more. Here are some of the top stories. The U.S. Department of Commerce recently listed the city of Hot Springs among the 63 metropolitan areas across the U.S. that set a record for goods exported in 2015. Hot Springs reached a record $96 million in 2015 exports. That's up 21% or $17 million from the previous year. Overall, U.S. metropolitan area exports exceeded $1.3 trillion in 2015. Frito-Lay is tentatively ready to expand their Jonesboro operations again, with the company asking the city to pass a resolution allowing for up to $150 million in taxable industrial development bonds to build new food processing lines and a warehouse. The lines will be used in the processing, packaging, and handling of food products. The newest expansion will add as many as 30 jobs and push the Jonesboro plant's employment to more than 500 employees. The U.S. Manufacturing Technology Orders Report for July revealed the fourth consecutive month of declines within the manufacturing technology industry. An industry report has logged noticeable declines in ordering since April. For the month of July, U.S. manufacturers and machine shops ordered $246 million in metal cutting, forming, and fabricating equipment. That is a 25% drop from June. For the first 7 months of 2016, the $2 billion in new orders is 16% lower than the same period in the previous year. Check out the manufacturing microsite at our website at talkbusiness.net. Just scroll down to the bottom half of our homepage. You'll find them, as well as other microsites that we also keep up with. A quick break and we'll return to Sunday's Talk Politics Roundtable. John Burris and Skip Rutherford join me. I asked them both to bring a headline to the table. We'll take a look at what they brought right after this.
Circuits turn on the lights by making a connection, by closing the loop. At Entergy, we believe our economy is circular too. What you put in comes back. So we invest billions in new infrastructure, which helps attract new industry, which helps create new jobs. We partner with local communities to electrify the economy, and together we power life. Entergy.
You've likely heard of the Great Arkansas Treasure Hunt. In fact, you or your business may have property to claim in the hunt. But where does this treasure come from? Businesses like yours. The law calls it unclaimed property. If your business is holding money on its books that you've not been able to return to the owner, it's most likely unclaimed property, and the law requires it to be sent to the state auditor's office each year. Auditor Andrea Lee's office can make the process for businesses to comply with the law easy and straightforward. Help us help you return Arkansans' unclaimed property at auditor.ar.gov.
On Sunday's edition of Talk Business and Politics, our political roundtable consisted of Democrat Skip Rutherford and Republican John Burris. Now, we ran out of time on air for all of our conversation. When we came back online, I pitched an extra question to Burris and to Rutherford. We were in this passionate discussion about the state of the presidential race. I can't remember where we left off because it's been so long since we picked back up.
It's Burris coming back to that he may have to come around and vote for Trump and support him if he keeps getting up in the polls.
Basically.
That's what he basically.
So we were talking about the ceiling for Trump is what it was. And is there a floor for Hillary, and is there going to be enough of a separation that she keeps winning?
I think you're right about the fact that mostly the polls we saw last week were Hillary declining, not so much Trump improving. But if he's smart, and he's showing signs of it, that he's going to try to have a good week and trend up as she's trending down, then I think he's got a shot. And I don't mind saying, the deal with Trump is he spent a year and a half, metaphorically being the guy that craps behind the couch and colors on the wall. And so if he just shows that he can hold his fork at dinner and not throw his food, people are going to be impressed. And if he does that in the debate and they think she's continually untrustworthy, I think he's got a shot.
I'm going to write that metaphor down there. That's a good
It's a good one. I got to say, I thought that's.
What do you think about that theory, though? Is that the theory? Is it Trump's got a cap and she's got a floor?
Look, I still go back that, again, if you look at the numbers, she should win. This is a different election. Everything about this election has been different, from Bernie Sanders to Donald Trump. It's been different. So I think there is an unpredictability out there. I also think we haven't seen a volume of audience on a presidential debate like this in a long time, maybe ever.
My contingency on the debate is after the first one, if you're not undecided, you're going to make your mind up after the first debate. It will have more impact than the second or the third debates will.
Well, again, I think you're going to see something in this election. It's going to be a real battle of whether the Trump organization, admittedly boosted by the RNC now, whether Trump organizations get out the vote strategy of Twitter and big rallies goes against the Hillary Clinton get out the vote strategy of urban turnout.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you're going to see.
All right. I didn't get to ask my question on air, so I brought a question to the table too from the headlines here. This is from Politico. Clinton's allies embracing her deplorable mistake. She used the word the basket of deplorables, the phrase to describe about half of Trump supporters, as she said. Was this a Mitt Romney 47% moment? The article argues that Hillary will wear that badge of deplorables as a badge of honor by the end of this campaign because she will be vindicated by what she said.
You asking me that question?
I'm asking you first.
All right. Well, number one, the issue probably would have been larger had the pneumonia issue not drowned it out. Okay? So, you know, the basket of deplorables, which I think was a misstep in terms of saying half the, I think you'd have to walk that one back.
Don't walk your percentages up so high is what you're saying.
Yeah, don't walk your percentages up so high. Do I think it is going to be a 47%? No, because I think there's so many other issues, and I think Trump himself, and you look at the ad she's put on with Lindsey Graham and others, what they're saying about Trump, that I think it muddies that water. So I don't think it's going to have the 47% impact. But again, it didn't have enough legs because pneumonia took it over. Yeah.
I don't think it hurts because I think things like that hurt when it plays into a stereotype that people have of you. For wealthy Mitt Romney, Republican, billionaire, I think Democrats use that stuff more effectively than Republicans do. Yeah. And I'd even go a step further and say that I think that to a large degree, I think people understand what she was trying to say. I think she phrased it kind of wrong. I wouldn't say that people are deplorable, but I think it is accurate to say that Trump has played to the deplorable stereotypes or expectations of good people, and I think people understood what she was trying to say, frankly, and for those reasons, and I don't even know that what she was trying to say, the spirit of it, is that wrong. So I think that for that reason, it won't really hurt her that much.
I got to wrap it up. That's Skip Rutherford and John Burris offering their comments, obviously, on the presidential race there. That is all for today's Talk Business and Politics Daily. We appreciate you tuning in. I'm Roby Brock. We'll see you tomorrow.